Hi, period 3. Sorry about my Wi-Fi before, but we are going to do this lesson. I'm going to go pretty quick, but you can always pause it if you have to copy something. So we're learning synthetic division. You did learn this in the past. It's to divide polynomials, but you should know all the different parts of a polynomial and a division problem. So a polynomial is just many terms like ax squared plus bx plus c. That's a quadratic polynomial, but polynomial is just many terms strung together by plus and minus signs. You should know that from the past. If you're going to do a division problem, the function that will be given, it's the polynomial. It will be given, and that is called the dividend. Whatever you're dividing by is called the divisor. Your answer is called the quotient, but sometimes there is a remainder. When you divide, you don't always get a whole, it doesn't always divide evenly. So you always put that remainder over the divisor. Now that looks really confusing with those letters, but let me show you with a really easy problem of just numbers. Okay, we're not going to really be dividing numbers by hand ever, but it's a good thing to show you because it is the same steps you do with other division with polynomials. So if I divided 2 into 85 without a calculator, you would just divide the 8 by the 2 and get 4. You would write it up there. Then you would multiply 2 times 4 to get 8. Then you would subtract. So we divided, then we multiplied, then we subtracted. Those are the same steps you do with polynomials. 8 minus 8 cancels out, but you bring down the 5. 2 divides into 5 twice, which is 4. So I divided 5 by 2. Then I'm multiplying 2 by 2, and now I'm subtracting that. There is a remainder of 1, and the remainder goes over the divisor. So 85 divided by 2 is 42.5, 42.5. And that's how you divide. So you know that from, I don't know, first grade or something, maybe third. But now we're going to be dividing a polynomial. So I am going to show you the first one with long division, although we're going to be doing synthetic division, which is a shortcut. So we're going to divide this first one with long division. You learned this in Algebra 2. So you put the divisor on the outside. That's the x plus 1. The thing that goes inside is called the dividend. And then we're going to do the steps that we just did for a number, but with a polynomial. So the first thing you do is just divide the first term by the first term. So I'm doing x squared divided by x. That gives me an x that I put on top. Now I'm multiplying that by the divisor, and that's where I get x squared plus x. We have to subtract that now, but it's a polynomial, so you're changing 2 signs there. That will always cancel out, and I get 3x and bring down 3. Okay, now I'm dividing just that 3x by that x, which is 3. I put that up here. Now I'm multiplying that 3 by the divisor, which also gives me 3x plus 3. Now I'm subtracting. These both turn to negative. My remainder is 0. X plus 3 is the answer, and it's also called the quotient. Okay, x plus 3 times x plus 1 would give us the x squared plus 4x plus 3, which makes sense. Okay, that is long division. Synthetic division is a shortcut of that, and it's a lot easier because you just deal with coefficients. So we're going to do synthetic division with the same example I just used. These are some rules about synthetic. Divisor has to be in the form of x minus k. K is going to be the number that's with x, but you're going to change the sign of it. That's why it says x minus k. If there's a missing term, we have to put a 0. That means if your polynomial skipped a term, like went from x cubed to x, you would need to put a 0 in for the x squared. We're going to do some examples that involve that, so you'll know what I mean in a minute. So if I use the example from above, I'm using x squared plus 4x plus 3 divided by x plus 1. Now we already know the answer, but I want to show it to you with synthetic. So with synthetic division, you are now using only the number on the bottom, but you're negating it. See how it was in the form of x minus k, but it was a plus 1? You always negate that number on the bottom, and you put it in this little box. Okay, then I'm going to list the coefficients of the polynomial going across. 1, 4, and 3. Then you're going to draw a horizontal line, and you're going to bring down the first digit. The rest of the steps are multiply, add, multiply, add. Now, when we did long division, We multiply and then we subtract it. But we don't have to subtract because we changed the sign of that divisor. So now we can just add. So now what I'm going to do is multiply by that, which is -1. I'm going to put it right under the 4, and then I'm going to add those. That gives me a 3. Now I multiply again, always by that. -3, add, I get 0. What does this mean? Well, this is your answer. The last number you get is the remainder. There is no remainder. The other two are part of a polynomial. The next term after the 0 is an x term. No, sorry, a constant. The one after that is an x. So what does this mean? It means our answer is x plus 3. This will get easier when we do more. But the last number you get is the remainder. The next number you get is a constant. And then if you keep going to the left, you get an x. If there's another number, it'd be x squared. This is the answer. Now, the reason the answer is only x plus 3 is we were dividing an x squared by an x plus 1. You're only going to get something to the first power, which is x plus 3. So doing it by synthetic is quicker than doing it by long division, but you get the same answer. All right, let's try some more examples. So, just so you know, the degree of a polynomial is the highest exponent. So this example 1, the degree is 3. When we divide by an 1x, x to the first power, that degree of the quotient will always be 1 less. So when we do number 1, 3x cubed divided by x, our answer is going to be an x squared polynomial. That will always happen. All right, so here's how you do it. You take the number that you're dividing by, but you change the sign and put it in a box. Now I list the coefficients of my polynomial, 3, 5, 8, 7. There's no terms missing because it goes x cubed, x squared, x, constant. Bring down the first number, 3. Multiply it by the number in the box, -6. Add those, -1. Multiply again, you get +2. Add, you get 10. Multiply again, you get -20. Add, you get -13. This represents the remainder. Your polynomial is, this is going to end up being the 10 is a constant, the -1 has an x, and this has an x squared. So your actual answer is 3x squared minus x plus 10, but we do have a remainder, and you have to put that over the original divisor. This is your answer. It's in quotient remainder form. Quotient is 3x squared minus x plus 10, but there was -13 left over. That goes over the divisor. This should all be familiar. You did it in Algebra 2. But who knows if you guys remember, so doing it again. All right, the next one, we're going to start with a 4 out here because it's the opposite of what you're dividing by. But now we are missing an x squared term. So you have to put a 0 there. So we have 1x to the third, 0x to the second, -12x, -16. Bring down the 1, multiply. 1 times 4 is 4, add 4. Multiply again, 16, 4, multiply again, 16, 0. This is the remainder. Our polynomial's answer is this is a constant, this is an x, that's an x squared. So the answer is x squared plus 4x plus 4. That is the answer. If I multiply that by x minus 4, I would get x cubed minus 12x minus 16. Try another one. This time I'm putting a +2 there. I have an x to the fourth. That's a 1, but I'm missing x to the third. Then I have an x to the second, but I'm missing an x as well. So we need 2 zeros for this one. So before you start setting it up, look at the polynomial, the dividend that you're dividing into, and make sure nothing's missing. We're missing a cubed and an x, so I have 2 zeros. Bring down the 1, multiply. So you bring it down, multiply, then you add. 2 times 2 is 4. Add those, multiply again. 4, 4, 8, 9. That's the remainder. The rest is the polynomial. That's an x squared, that's an x cubed. So my answer, x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2x plus 4 plus remainder over divisor. I know I'm doing these kind of fast. I don't want this to be a long video. Okay, this one's a little harder because we're not dividing by just a plain x minus 1. We have a 2 in front. So actually now the number that goes in the box, you have to basically take 2x minus 1 and set it equal to 0. this is the number you're going to put in the box. So if there's a coefficient of x that's not a 1, that's what you're going to do first, and then that number goes in that little box. Then we list the coefficients, same way, cubed to the second, x to the first, and then the constant. Bring down your 4. 4 times a half is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 times a half is 2 again. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 times a half is 4. No remainder. Our answer should be 4x squared plus 4x plus 8, but it's actually not. The reason that's not the answer is, think about it. If you multiply 2x minus 1 by what we just got, your polynomial would start with an 8x to the third, and it doesn't. So when you do this, you have to then divide your answer by that denominator. So that's because of this being a 2x minus 1. So if it's just an x plus something or an x minus something, it's a lot easier. But once you have an extra number there, you got a couple of extra steps. So you have to use a fraction in the box, and now our answer, we have to divide this whole thing by 2. So the answer is 2x squared plus 2x plus 4. That's the quotient. And it makes sense because if I multiplied that by 2x minus 1, I would get the original dividend, and that's what it should be. So hopefully you won't forget that step. We're going to do 2 more of those. So the next one, I'm going to take 2x minus 3 and set it equal to 0. So 3 halves is the number I'm going to put in the box. So it goes 3 halves, box. This one goes 2, 3, 1, negative 15. Nothing skipped. Bring down the 2, multiply. 3 halves times 2. I think I already did this. I'm going to mess up. Is 3 halves times 2 is 3. That goes here. Add, you get 6. 6 times 3 halves, 9. Add, you get 10. 10 times 3 halves, 15. Remainder 0. But remember, these numbers are not the answer. We have to divide by 2 again because of that denominator. So our answer is going to be x squared plus 3x plus 5. If I multiply that by the 2x minus 3, I would get the original numerator. Okay, one more of those. So in the box, we're going to put a negative a half, because that's what you would get if you set 2x plus 1 equal to 0. That goes in the box. Be careful, this one is missing a term. It goes 4x to the fourth, nothing x to the third, then an x to the second, x, and the constant. Bring down the first number, multiply. 4 times negative a half is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative a half is 1. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative a half again, 1. That's a 6. That's a negative 3. We do have a remainder this time. Now, when you go to divide everything by 2, you don't divide the remainder by 2. So your answer is going to be 2x cubed. This is going to be a constant. That's x, x squared, x cubed. So 2x cubed minus x squared minus x plus 3 plus 1 over the divisor. The remainder does not get divided, but all the coefficients do. So that's how you do that. Your homework's going to be in your new purple book, which I posted. I'll give you a hard copy tomorrow, but you can use the posted one for today. Page 1, 1 through 6. They're all synthetic division. You will get some weird big numbers sometimes, so don't panic about that. And you can have some large remainders as well. So don't panic about that. Just try to follow all this. We're going to do more with it the next few days. We're going to use synthetic division a lot, so you will get better at it. If you're having trouble now, you will get better. So that's your homework. That's your video.